This is an assumptions question. The conclusion is that boat owners who install foghorns on their boats are more likely to violate noise pollution regulations regularly than the owners who do not have such foghorns. The missing link is between 45% of all boats that have got a ticket for violating noise pollution regulations having foghorns, and the conclusion that boat owners with foghorns are more likely to violate noise pollution regulations regularly than boat owners who do not have foghorns. Our broad expectation from the correct answer choice is that it should strengthen this conclusion through a valid assumption which fills the missing link and must be necessarily true for the argument to hold. Answer choice A. This answer choice says that those with foghorns are less likely to be ticketed than those without foghorns. Also, the argument mentions that only 5% of all boat owners have foghorns. So combining these two pieces of information, we can expect that those with foghorns would account for less than 5% of all the tickets. However, the argument mentions that they account for 45% of all the tickets. In other words, it indicates the likelihood that these individuals with foghorns are getting tickets repeatedly, and hence it strengthens the conclusion that those with foghorns are more likely to violate noise pollution regulations regularly, this is the key term here, regularly, than those who do not have the foghorns. However, despite being a strengthening statement, this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption because it does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold. Because even if those with foghorns are equally likely to be ticketed as compared to those who do not have foghorns, even in that case, we should expect only 5% of tickets to the owners with foghorns. However, the argument mentions that the tickets are 45% for the individuals with foghorns. So in that case also, it indicates the likelihood that these individuals with foghorns are repeatedly violating the regulations. In other words, negating this answer choice does not weaken the conclusion. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice B. The argument talks about all the boats that were ticketed. Now, whether there were any boats that were ticketed more than once, this piece of information is just additional detail and has no bearing on the argument. Also, this answer choice does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold, so this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice C. The argument talks about 5% of all owners having foghorns and 45% of all tickets going to these owners. So basically the argument talks about everything in percentages, whereas this answer choice talks about the number of boat owners, which indicates absolute references. So this answer choice simply adds information and does not strengthen the conclusion. Also, this answer choice does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold, so this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice D. This answer choice says that those who are ticketed for violating noise pollution regulations are more likely to violate them again than those who have not been ticketed. The argument also mentions that 45% of tickets went to those who were equipped with foghorns. Combining these two pieces of information, we can suggest that these 45% of individuals with foghorns, on account of they getting ticketed once, are more likely to violate the norms after they get the first ticket. In other words, this answer choice indicates that those with foghorns are more likely to violate noise pollution regulations regularly or repeatedly than those who do not have foghorns. So this answer choice strengthens the conclusion. Also, this answer choice has to be true for the conclusion to hold, because negating this answer choice would mean that those who are ticketed once are not more likely to violate, that means maybe equally or less likely to violate than those who are not ticketed. In such a case, there is no correlation between getting ticketed once and getting ticketed repeatedly. And in that case, the conclusion which talks about regular or repeated violation cannot be established. So negating this answer choice weakens the conclusion. A good answer choice. Let's keep this on hold. Answer choice E. The argument is concerned with boat owners in Jacksonville, whereas this answer choice talks about boat owners in other cities. So this piece of information is out of scope and has no bearing on the argument. Also, this answer choice does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold, so this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption. So let's eliminate this answer choice. D is the correct answer choice.